This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
And I'm Roanoke.
And y'all don't know it yet, but it's 1 a.m. for us, so we're all having a good time. So today is our Friendly Friday segment, and before we get into that, I want to have Mr. Roanoke have 2 seconds to say all of the things about science he wants to say about his channel.
Science is awesome. Science is great. Do you like brains eating your bugs or bugs eating your brains? It's up to you. On my channel, I talk about the science of pretty much everything, diseases, physiology in humans being altered by those diseases, and also brains being consumed by bugs, and also those brains transferring information to those bugs so that they can overtake humanity. So if that sounds interesting, I have a video up on there right now.
Speaking of things and brains, you should cover the babblefish and how that works.
The what?
The babblefish from
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, okay. I've seen that movie twice, so you're gonna have to bear with me on that one.
Oh,
it's a little fish they stick in the ear that translates every language.
But you're missing the best part of that. They're saying because they disprove God by proving God exists with that fish in the book. It's the greatest thing ever.
Disprove God by proving God exists.
Yeah, because he's like the way they phrase it, like you have to believe in God. It's not like a fact, but there's no reason for this babblefish to exist. And God's like, yeah, exactly, because I created it so everyone could talk. And it's like, but I proved you exist, therefore you can't exist. And he just poofs out of existence. It's like, this is ridiculous.
That's when everybody's brains exploded, I believe.
Yeah.
Anyways, the science behind the fact that the babblefish exists. I would love to see a video of you trying to explain how that works.
That would be interesting. I'm gonna have to rewatch that movie here pretty soon because of that. So,
all right.
Sorry, I got distracted by the guy getting his brain sucked out.
No.
Like, oh god.
So this is completely realistic. Obviously, this would clearly happen in real life. Here, let's move on to the more realistic game that I was gonna put on in the background. So the prompt that I've put together today is: are modern games becoming too realistic for enjoyment? Enjoyment.
Perhaps.
Yes.
So
that's pretty much my answer to that.
What's your guys' take on this?
Yeah, like Roanoke was saying, perhaps there are definitely some games that they definitely push it too far to being realistic, where it's no longer fun. Because the biggest part of video games is to escape reality. So when it just mirrors reality, it's not nearly as enjoyable. So an example is like stamina. I freaking hate stamina bars. Some games are fine, but other ones, like you start to pant like going up a hill, and like your character slows down. It's like, yeah, I do that in real life. I don't want to do that in a game. That sucks. And then things where like they don't put in fast travel points because it's not as realistic. You're like, I don't want to walk an entire continent. It's like, I wouldn't do that in real life. I don't want to do that in a game. And I don't know, just different mechanics like that, like getting shot by one bullet and dying. That's terrible. And there's also some things like, why do you even put that in a game? So like, you have Red Dead Redemption here. Someone went in there and actually programmed the nutsack on the horses to go up and down with temperature. Why? I don't need to see that. They only put that in there specifically so I would go with make a video of me looking at that. It's like, but yeah, it's like there are things like that is just that's kind of comical. But the stamina thing and other things just no longer is fun. And when it looks too realistic, then it's not as artsy. I don't know. It's get a like uncanny valley, and it's no longer interesting to look at. And I don't know, it's no longer, it goes like, it's less like you're playing a game and more like a simulation, and it's not nearly as much fun.
I would say the big thing with trying to go realistic is you have a lot, like he just said it almost perfectly, as far as like you're running up a hill and you start to pant and then you slow down. It's like, look, I know I could slow down, and I know that I do want some mechanics because I'm not supposed to be like a god in this game. At least not yet, until like I completely beat the game. But I feel like a lot of game developers are like, all right, well, let's make it as realistic as possible and put every human feature on it. Like, eventually we're going to get to the point where it's like, you have to stop and take a dump.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to stop and take a dump. I just want to keep going. Like, but I mean, like, you look at games like Minecraft, World of Warcraft, Halo is getting way more cartoony now, which is what it should be.
Mm-hmm.
When games kind of shift that art style back into being games, you notice they get more fun because it's like you're no longer taking this human element and applying it to a video game. When I play Half-Life Alyx VR, right? The worst thing possible is that if they make a version of the game where if you do get shot once, you die, because I would never get past the first level because it's just not possible. It's like, but it's realistic. That's fantastic. I'm so glad it's realistic, but I'd like to play the game and actually enjoy it. And when I die a lot, you know, there's the old adage of, oh, well, you need to get good. Dude, sometimes I just want to relax and play a game.
Yep.
And when it's just as realistic, there's nothing you can do about it. It's going to frustrate you because you're not winning the game. You're not doing anything fun. And this may be a bad take, but that's why I like games, like I said, like World of Warcraft or Minecraft. I mean, granted, you know, I play a human paladin in World of Warcraft, so, you know, you get some freaking shadow priest troll that runs up in there. They can kill me in like 3 seconds, and God, is it frustrating. But my character can at least run across the entire continent without stopping. So my thing is just, they really need to start figuring out, okay, if we want the graphics to look realistic, cool. By all means, make the graphics look as good as you want to make them. But I don't think we need like the realism as far as how does your character react.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's annoying to me, I suppose.
Also, going to the graphics, I do think that there are some games that are making the people look too much like people, and it's gotten to the point where it's uncomfortable to shoot them. I don't know if you guys are
Last of Us 2, where they start yelling each other's names, and it's like, oh god.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, no, Mike, don't die.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable now because now it's like it looks real. So you're like, I don't know. For me, it's like, man, now I'm not having fun because I feel like I'm murdering someone. It's no longer like playing Halo or something.
Yeah.
I think if you're gonna get I think that Detroit Become Human was a bit too real for me. Honestly, it was like everything you did in that game, it felt, because of the realism of the game, I just felt so weird taking any of the actions in some parts of the game, or like when they simulated things that were hit a little too close to home, you know, like when they have kids getting hurt or whatever in games. It's like, I just can't do that, man. I got kids at home, I can't do that.
Yeah.
But that's a different way to go down there. Realism in scenarios like that, it's like, I could do without that. Realism in games on the other spectrum, physics, engines, those kinds of things, those kinds of scenarios, like those are, like Will said, a little too real.
Yeah, well, the ragdoll physics are hilarious in almost every game.
Yeah, they haven't figured it out yet. Sorry, I didn't mean to take that down a dark path there. Holy cow.
Yeah, I just meant like, as far as like realistic is fine for that, but like I laugh when like a character gets flung because of the physics by accident, or there's a weird glitch. Like,
like the Cyberpunk one.
Yeah, like I hope they don't get to a point where that's out of games completely, because that's enjoyable. Like I'm playing The Witcher the other day, and like my horse got stuck like on a cliff, and I'm just floating in space. And like, yeah, that breaks the realism of the game, but it's also hysterical that I'm floating on Roach at that moment. But yeah,
Trying to find that one, because that one was hilarious. The one I'm thinking of right now, where the guy just goes flying.
You're talking about?
Well, I mean, dude, that is like all of the glitches. Like, if you did anything wrong, there you go. Like anything wrong in Cyberpunk right now, you just go flying.
I love the one the guy's like literally walking with a baseball bat, hits this like really large NPC, and all of a sudden the NPC flies across the map. Yeah. I'm trying to think.
I think this is honestly going to be a hard conversation for 1 a.m.
Okay.
I mean,
let me roll us back.
Thoughts on this?
Let me just roll us back for a second.
You know, what do you do, right? So everybody has always talked about how they want better graphics. They want it to play more like real life, yada, yada, yada. And I think maybe we're just hitting the point now where, you know, we want these graphics to mimic real life, but we want it to mimic real life in like VR. We don't want it to mimic real life when we're just trying to screw around and play on a screen. I don't know. So to me, it's like, that's why I'm kind of glad some games are going back to a more cartoony style. And that's what they said about Halo Infinite. They were like, oh, you know, it looks so cartoony. It's like, well, inherently, why is that a problem? It's a video game. Why does it have to look like real life? Why does everything have to be like us? Can we just not enjoy it? So I don't know. I'm kind of hoping games kind of go back to that style. And, you know, like I said, look at Minecraft, right? It's, was it 8-bit technically, or that's what it's designed after. So it's just, you know, they were able to do it, and it was able to be successful because people just wanted to chill out. They wanted to play video games. They wanted to escape reality. And when you have literal reality in video games, it's sort of like reality in TV shows and reality in movies. People tune out because they're like, I don't want to do this. I came here to escape.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly. And also, if everything starts to look like real life, everything will look the same. You're not going to have like the stylized graphics anymore, which will be a real shame because a lot of games are built off of the graphics. That's what they're known for. So if everything goes to looking hyper realistic, everything's going to look exactly the same.
Yeah, I agree.
So the last thing that I want to kind of bring into this whole conversation is I think realism in video games actually hinders creativity.
It can, I think, yeah.
When you really try to mimic real life, you're locked into real life physics. You're locked into real life look. And you never get a game like, for example, whoops, I just moved my keyboard right off my desk. This game right here doesn't mimic real life, and it's very different from anything I've ever played in my entire life. And I love the art style, but you would never get this if you were going for real life physics. Well, let me see if I can get to it actual. Like, look at this. This art style is really awesome to look at, but it doesn't look like real life.
No, it's like, I think people want like higher graphical fidelity, but not necessarily like realized images, if that makes any sense.
This is my favorite game of 2020, by the way.
And I saw your Twitter post about it.
You're not a weeb, are you?
No.
I don't know what that is, but I'm pretty certain Chris is.
This is giant robots fighting in a futuristic city.
What are some of your favorite games, Chris?
No, it's not Titanfall. It's like we took all the sci-fi games you loved as growing up, and you added some Japanese art style to it, clearly, but you just literally fight them with Gundams. Like, it's like War of the Worlds, Terminator, Matrix. There's hints of all of these things in it. Gundams. It's a ridiculous game.
It's pretty interesting, though. What's it called?
It's called 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim.
What is up with like Rim, like Pacific Rim and Aegis Rim?
The word rim in this game actually means something.
Well, Pacific Rim does too. I mean, that's the rim.
What about Atlantic Rim? Did you guys see that one?
No.
It exists. I wouldn't advise watching it.
I will not watch it. No, the rim in this one is similar to the Pacific Rim significantly, in regards to being a lot. I don't want to spoil the game. It's really great.
They're fighting, what is it, kaijus or something like that?
Yeah, they literally call them kaiju, yeah.
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 Cool.
I'm sure, like, anybody who is from that part of the planet just listened to me say that word and they're like, oh my god, that sounds awful.
See, here's the thing.
He doesn't so much speak the language, just chew it up and spit it out.
Will and I cross over on Halo and Fable and a couple other games, but for the most part, I'm more into like RPGs, more JRPGs than he is.
So yeah, I like RPGs. You like JRPGs,
but I don't fall into the category of quote unquote weeb or whatever you called, whatever slang you're using.
Yeah,
because I like
Chris
a lot of American stuff too.
But the public perception is a...
I got you. I understand.
Anyway.
All right. We're just here to keep it real, right?
Yeah. I like a lot of different games, but we do cross over on Halo. That's one of our favorites that we both cross over on.
There you go.
And I would hate it if Halo went realistic, because my god, can you imagine if you're the Master Chief and all of a sudden an alien shoots you and you're like, half your body's gone?
Well, they kind of did that. I think it's called Lasso.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, I mean, Halo 4, let's be real here. They went the whole realistic route in Halo 4. and it was just kind of like, meh, let's not do this.
Yeah. The physics in that game, though, speaking of physics, was super weird. You feel like you're floating. So if you go back and play that game, when you play any of the other ones, you don't feel like your feet ever hit the ground.
Yeah. And also, like, when you stop, you don't really stop for like half a second, and it feels delayed.
Yeah, it's weird.
If you want to see a good retrospective of Halo, seeing how it went from more realistic to less realistic, go watch my parody of Old Town Road and Halo mixed. And I did like an entire.
You know, Old Town Road, that's the Lil Nas X or whatever? Yeah, he went to my college. He was in college at my college while I was in college.
Really?
Yep. Odds are I've run into him, but I mean, it was a relatively small college, so. Yeah, if you guys ever get to go to Carrollton, Georgia, don't, by the way. Not because of like anything in particular, but you know, there's a lot of bar fights and a lot of stupid crap going on out there, so just thought I would.
I hope well,
You were warned.
I'm just saying, you just gave a bunch of information about locations. I just didn't know if that was okay.
Oh no, I don't live there anymore, so go ahead.
Okay. Just want to make sure. It's like, oh no, did he just got too tired and doxed himself? Oh
no, yeah, I don't live there anymore. There's a reason I left Carrollton, Georgia. I don't want to live there. Literally, okay. So actually, just a side fun fact. I used to have to drive through Carrollton, Georgia, to go to my first college in Huntsville, Alabama, and I used to refer to the place as the Gauntlet because nobody could drive, and there was like 20 stoplights, and everybody was awful. So I was like, God, who lives in this town? And then, ironically, about 3 years later, I met my fiance there. So sometimes life comes at you fast, you know?
All right. Well, okay. So as far as our final answer on this, do we prefer more or less realistic games?
Yeah, it's tough. I think it's a case by case. And I think you know when it feels right, when the realism is right, and then you feel when it's wrong. So it's hard. I don't think they should put in like a poop mechanic. Or I hate when you get windy going up a hill. Things like that are annoying. But like, you know, really realistic, and then I prefer when they're realistic but like overly stylized, like Ghost of Tsushima. I can't pronounce that name. I like that when the environments are really realistic. But sometimes the characters can become like a little bit of uncanny valley. So
I would say, I'm going to piggyback off of what you said with the graphic fidelity. I think that's something that people want. They want it to look better. Well, you know, you could take Cyberpunk, for instance. Like, I mean, it's kind of realistic, but it's stylized. Mm-hmm. So you can make things look better. I think that when they try to make it look totally human and they add the poop mechanic and you take 3 steps and you get winded because you haven't upgraded your stamina, it's just they try to make it so realistic, it's like it becomes inhibitory as to what you can actually do. Mm-hmm. So I think that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah, when you got to drop trow every 20 minutes in the game because your guy got diarrhea.
Exactly. Congratulations, you contracted dysentery. Hope you enjoy your next 3 minutes of gameplay. The whole time. It's like, I don't want to do this.
That actually sounds great.
I swear to God, that's Elder Scrolls 6 right there. You know, you get tired running in freaking Skyrim, so you're gonna get tired pooping.
Can you imagine if you're playing Red Dead and all of a sudden they introduce like straight up like a pandemic in the game?
Oh my God.
GTA pandemic.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, it's just stuff like I said, man. You know, it's okay for it not to be completely like, wow, it's like I'm living in the real world. Like, I don't want to play that all the time.
Yeah, I'd play maybe if they make even The Sims. It's meant to be a simulation, and it's not a true to life simulation.
Yeah.
Or is it? No. Anyways, I just wanted to give you a big shout out for coming on here and talking to us, especially this late. Like, holy.
And we have been, what is it, 4 hours?
We might have broke the record for longest podcast, actually.
Well, thank God. That's all right. I texted my fiance like 2 hours ago. I was like, go ahead and go to bed.
Sorry.
No, dude, I had a blast. This was a good time. I had a good time.
Good. And
Thanks for having me on. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to have you on again, and I'm sure we can find it in our hearts to send you a shrimp shirt. So
that would be fantastic. Hey, next time I can wear it too.
There you go. Yeah. And is there anything else you wanted to say before we conclude this?
I think I'm good. I think that's it.
Definitely the next what was that game I was talking about earlier? Metro Exodus needs to have a Roanoke model in it, a very realistic one.
There you go. Yes.
And we'll all be gravy.
Imagine I'd freeze to death Moscow though. It's like I just walk out of the metro. It's like, congratulations, you died.
You weren't prepared for winter.
You are not prepared. You know, that sort of scenario. So.
But they'll have the quote, "That is not a catfish."
It's not a cat. I swear it's got canonical teeth though.
It's not realistic enough, guys. As always, I am Chris.
And I'm Will.
I'm Roanoke.
And we will see you
on the next CHRILLCAST. Bye, guys.